Welcome back to another episode of Educato. Today we will discuss about authentic assessment, its meaning and characteristic. And to discuss with us, I invited 3 aspiring educators from Marinduque State College, School of Education. Let us have Miss Katherine Molato from Puting Buhangin, Mugpog, Marinduque. And our second guest, Miss Gimalyn Miranda from Nasugbu, Batangas. And last but not the least, Mr. John Lester Historillo from Mataas na Bayan, Mugpog, Marinduque. We are so grateful that you accept our invitation. Welcome here in Educato. So just sit and listen and we will learn from them right now. Here are the objectives of our discussion. By the end of this chapter, you should be able to first, articulate authentic assessment and its significance. Second, identify the attribute of authentic assessment. And third, differentiate traditional assessment and authentic assessment. And last, select the most appropriate authentic assessment tool for learning objectives relevant to the field of specialization. So, what is authentic assessment? When we say authentic assessment, it is the process of determining the achieved learning of the students through demonstration of skill and competencies that resembles in real-life application. So, authentic assessment is also pertains to as performance tests, alternative, or direct assessment. So here are some examples of authentic assessment. First, we have role-playing. Role-playing, it is to represent an action where students ask or tasked to role-play the thoughts and feelings of assigned character to them. So sa role-playing, nahasa ang mga kakayahan ng mga mag-aaral nang mag-aaral sa pagmamasid, pananaliksik, pagbibigay pananaw ng damdamin ng iba, pagbibigay karanasan sa pamumuhay na demokratiko at pagtulong sa paglikha ng interes ng mga mag-aaral. And for the second example, we have portfolios and journal. It is collection of evidence or proof of student learning and abilities. By this, it will enable students to reflect their real performance, to show their weak and strong domain, and to observe student progress during the learning process. It encourages students to take responsibility for their own learning. And for the third example, we have writing reports and researches. This assessment is a record of discussion and findings that happens during the process of study. For example of this assessment is conducting a research paper. And for the fourth example, we have performing instrument or laboratory activities. In this assessment, a student has the opportunity to apply the content and understanding in new situations. So, ang halimbawa nito is hand-on approach to understanding topographic maps. And for number 5 example, solving mathematical problems. This assessment measures student knowledge and use of mathematical problem-solving strategies. So this assessment assesses rapid problem-solving by measuring one's ability to think through the large complex problems in a linear step-by-step. It also often designed to address real-world problems and issues which students required to analyze and investigate. For the number 6 example, we have proposing projects. So, this assessment is often referred to programmatic instructional or instructional approach that utilize multifaceted project as a central organizing strategy for educating students. When students are engaged in proposing projects, they will typically required to use diverse skills and collaborations. And for the last example, we have performing a certain skill and competencies. So in this assessment, it is the application of knowledge, skills, and behaviors used in performing a specific task. Significance of authentic assessment. First, authentic assessment check the level of learning of a learner. And take note that it is normally based on a set of criterion. Second, it also lessens the competition in class since it is criterion-based and numeral evaluation rather than norm reference. And third, authentic assessment, the learner know what is expected from him and you as the facilitator can point the challenges that she or he will face during the assessment process. Authentic assessment also empowers students to improve their own. And lastly, you have the opportunity to make them appreciate real-life application compared to the traditional pen and paper examination.
The following are the characteristics of authentic assessment. Number 1 is, it begins with a definite, concise, measurable criteria, which is the learning objectives of the teaching learning process that is informed to the students. In this characteristic, it refers to assessment wherein student asked to perform a real-world task to demonstrate a meaningful application of what they learned. Learning objectives should break down the task and focus on the specific cognitive processes. Number 2, it emphasizes demonstration of knowledge, skills, and competences with foundations on what they can recall and learn. Authentic assessment does not rely on the ability to recall facts or memorize details. Instead, students are asked to demonstrate skills and concepts on what they have learned. 3. Authentic assessment encourages both teachers and learners to determine the rate of progress in attaining desired learning outcomes. Teachers encourage their students to reflect on the relevance of their instruction to improve learning experience for both instructor and student. Number 4, the learners are not passive receivers of knowledge, but they are aware of their current mastery of the topic or skills is. Authentic assessment does not encourage rote learning and passive talking to test. Instead, students are required to demonstrate analytical skills, ability to integrate what they learn, creativity, ability to join in group, skills in oral and written communication. Number 5, it is criterion reference rather than norm reference. The intention of this is to look at how well students can carry out the specific skills or tasks or multitude skills and tasks. Number 6, authentic assessment gives the students freedom to craft responses rather than selecting from a set. Thus, there uses a range of higher order thinking skills. It requires students to make their own answer to the question rather than select from a given option, as in multiple choice items. This requires a range of higher order thinking skills or HATS. Number 7, authentic assessment does not only focus on what was achieved, but also emphasize the process of learning. Participants in assessment activities that emphasize what they are capable of doing instead test to measure student skills or retained after scrutiny. Number 8, teachers act as facilitators of learning rather than the source of knowledge by facilitating how a learner achieves the desired. Teachers only act as a facilitator motivator, and inspiration for students. Traditionally, a class is taught by a teacher mainly through lectures. The teacher presents information in an oral presentation while students listen, take notes, and occasionally ask questions.
Let's move on to the phases of authentic assessment. The end goal of assessment is to progress a student learning. We say that there is only learning when there is a change in behavior of demonstrate and difference in skill and knowledge. Manifestation of learning through a period of time such as portfolios, journals, presentation, essay, and etc. Outcome assessment goes through a 5 phases to determine and close of learning. So the first phase or stage, what are the learner outcome? Here we determine what are the most essential learning outcomes that the learners need to learn and achieve. After the whole process, this is what we are looking for. In the second stage, what are the evidence of learning? Here, we determine the criteria and standard of outcome performance, including the level of acceptability of the evidence of learning. And for the third stage or phase, what are the supporting learning experiences and activities? We then implement the supporting activities that will facilitate or guide our learners to achieve the desired learning outcome. It would be an advantage for you if you know the limitations and strength of the learners. This would also give you a way to focus and highlight which among the criteria need to be honed and developed. You as the teacher act a guide more than just a source. Moving on to the fourth stage, how do we know if the desired learning outcomes has been achieved? So we now then determine which among the desired learning outcome are achieved and what level of mastery. Implementation of the assessment is being done through measurement and evaluation tools. And for the last phase or stage is the desired learning outcome achieved. The assessment result provide you with information whether the learners achieved the desired learning outcomes and which needs improvement. Through validation and analysis, you can determine whether your teaching strategies and techniques are effective.
First, traditional assessment often means referring to the normal test that checks student ability to recollect and reproduce the content studied during the course. It is the test that taken with paper and pencil that usually true or false, matching type, or multiple choice. It is easy to grade test but isolated only in application, facts, memorization, or the low-level thinking skills. For authentic assessment, it is through application of their knowledge and skills in a real-life situation or stimulation. Authentic assessment focus on what student can do rather than what student know. This kind of assessment combines the traditional academic content with the knowledge and skills needed to function properly in the real world. The content, purpose, and focus are connected to real-world situation and problem. The benefits of authentic assessment is it motivates students to deeply engage with the subject matter, leading to more constructive and productive learning. Second, it aids students in preparing for complexities of professional life by equipping them with relevant workplace skills, and also prepares students for lifelong learning. After comparing traditional and authentic assessment in determining student and mastery, let us differentiate them by comparing the attributes. The data shown in the table are according to Navarro and de Guzman Santos. For first attributes, action and response. In traditional assessment, it is a selecting a response. For authentic assessment, it is a performing a task. For settings, in traditional assessment, it is contrived or imagine, while authentic assessment, it is real-life application or stimulation. However, in method, in traditional assessment, it is done through recall or recognition, while authentic assessment, it is through construction or application. Traditional assessment is teacher-structured, while authentic assessment is student-structured. In outcome, traditional assessment is indirect evidence, while authentic assessment has direct evidence.
So,
Proceed to the last topic of this unit, which is a better look to traditional and authentic assessment. Traditional assessment, knowledge, and cognitive skills are very important, which is the focus of a traditional assessment. It is the basic, the most important before proceeding to higher order thinking skills. Traditional assessments such as quiz, exams are useful in providing a snapshot of a student mastery over the subject at the specific interval. The advantages of traditional assessment is it helps educator or teacher to compare the performance of different students easily. It's also help teacher to get free view of a student knowledge conveniently. Aside from that, student will develop their retraining and understanding capacity and also learn to recognize and reconstruct their intellect and build their cognitive ability. Since this approach is overall simplified, straightforward, and time-saving, the students are insufficient able to manage more children in an easier amount. It is a quiet, reliable, and fixed. Furthermore, traditional assessment does not require extra tools and hence it is very economical. Even a simple paper and pen can also use the procedure of this assessment.
So that's the end of our today's episode. Thank you so much to our guest for sharing information with us. Hope you guys enjoy and learn something. Again, this is Kath, and see you again here in Educa Talk.